Hello and welcome to Legal Angle on Spin TV. This is the only show in India that caters to legal problems of real estate and gives you a guaranteed solution. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all our viewers for increasing viewership and also your response on our last week's issue on buying and selling of properties. Well, if you have any queries, doubts and issues, you can mail us on the email IDs at the bottom of your screen. Well, this week we are going to discuss an issue preferably pertaining with the channel partners and builders, that is real estate joint venture. And with me once again I have Mr. Vikhil Dhoka, a senior associate from Solis Lex. They have a pan-India presence and also a presence international in the following countries: US, London, Bangkok, Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, etc. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, thank you for inviting me again.
Yes.
And hi to all your viewers of the Spin TV.
It's always been a pleasure having you on the show, sir. Now, can you tell our viewers about real estate joint venture?
See, real estate joint venture is exactly what you can say, a 2 to 3 entities coming together and for a specific development of a plot for a specific purpose of developing, constructing a building or a penthouse or farmhouse, something like that. It's a joint venture. Usually, joint ventures are, while getting into a joint venture with anyone else, the things which you have to keep in mind, there are three part of the joint ventures.
Okay.
One is a control.
Okay.
Who will be controlling whom?
Okay.
Who will be controlling the project? Who will be taking a major decisions in that venture?
Okay.
Who will have a veto power, a voting power, a decision power? Who will be having a power for designing?
Okay.
Take a call on designing everything. And second will be of splitting of profits. And suppose the profits are there, so how it is to be split among the partners in the joint ventures. So how it's to be split. And third part is important, is the exit part of the joint venture.
Okay.
So in a particular joint venture, how a particular role of an individual come to an end. How can he exit from the joint ventures and that to define that precisely. So these are the 3 steps involved in a joint venture of a real estate.
Okay.
And this is it's actually what you can call as a partnership, business, what you can call it as.
Okay. Okay. So, can you also tell our viewers how many partners should be necessarily therein for a real estate joint venture?
See, exactly, I can't say you the partners. It's a word actually. Partners, not exact that word. You can say coming together for doing a business. Usually for this joint ventures real estate, it will be a brokers, multiple of brokers. That can be one of the multiple developer can be there.
Okay.
But in the recent scenario, there have been a joint venture transaction between one person owning a property who loves the property so much that he want to develop, but due to his lack of knowledge in construction field, compliance for doing all that thing, he approached some other person, and other person he entered into joint venture with that for development. It is his plot and his knowledge of developing, and they all together they develop on.
Okay.
There is one joint venture also, you can say, wherein one person is having the right to develop it, but there are some compliance which he may not be aware of, or there are some compliance which a particular person may be having of it, due to which a plot can give more benefit. This venture can go on more profitable. So in that case, these 2 people can also enter into an agreement. I'll give you one example. There is a provision in DCR, there's a Development Control Regulation, wherein a plot can generate more FSI on compliance of particular things. So for that, group of people will be able to do it properly or get that compliance done from the BMC. So for that reason, a developer may approach those individuals, or the individuals may approach those developers, and they may offer them, okay, we will be able to get that compliance done, and in that case your project may go, or you may get more benefit. But in exchange of that, we want to be in a joint venture of this plot or project, because that compliance plays a crucial role, which generate more FSI. So that's why in that case they enter into a joint venture. So there are different type of joint ventures and with a different parties. As I told you, a group of brokers can enter into a joint venture, or a developer with such compliance people, or it may be a Individuals also, a group of individuals can enter into a joint venture.
Correct.
There are many ways into getting into these joint ventures and going ahead with the projects of developing it.
So now that you have said that there are many ways to enter the joint venture, can you also tell us what are the legal formalities behind the scenes for entering into a joint venture?
Joint venture, getting into a joint ventures, like real estate joint venture, is somewhat similar to buying or selling a property.
Okay.
So a compliance which are over there, legal formality which are there in that aspect, is similar somewhat lies over here also.
Now, can you give us matching examples
Yeah,
of
definitely.
both?
I'm coming to that. But the more is what is to be vet out over here is vetting your partner.
Okay.
How is your partner? That is to be first clearly vet out.
Okay.
Like beside morally, how good technically sound he is. He understands the concepts or the reason for which you are entering into him. Your role will be a different. But
Correct.
what about his role? Is he able to do his role or not? Moreover, whether, that's the important part, whether he got a developing right or not.
Okay.
As I told you in that compliance of that DCR, I'll give you the examples. In that particular aspect, if I say that developer may not have a developing right. So if you go, you invest your money, get that compliance done, and later stage, you realize that developer didn't have a right
Okay.
to develop that plot. In that case, it was you at losing end because all your money is waste. It all goes into drainage. So for that reason, you have to weight your partners accordingly, and as well as you also look the feasibility.
Okay.
As I said, feasibility is also important. Whether if suppose there are some plot where there is into joint venture for developing, but that plot falls into the aviation line, funnel line, where the airports are nearby, wherein the only specific height clearance is given. And such case, whether the projects can be feasible or not, the plans or whether he has obtained an IOD, CC, or the market scenario, exactly all that similars are there.
Correct.
But the main document which to be looked into is the agreement which you enter.
Okay.
The
Okay.
terms and conditions of that agreement.
Okay.
That has to be clarified. I said 3 steps of the entering into a joint venture.
Correct.
Out of which the first was for control. So your agreement which you enter with him should specifically define your role as well as the role of your partner.
Okay.
Many times the role may overlap, but there should be a clear understanding and there should be defined clearly, precisely in the agreement to avoid any further confusion and vagueness.
Shall we take a short break? Be with us. Don't go away. Documents. Can you specify these documents in depth?
There are actually multiple types of document can be entered into. First document can be an MOU.
You have come on that point of documents. So, before I pose my next question only to you, let me also just ask you, what are these documents? Can you specify these documents in depth?
Yeah. Now, on that document, like, is a person having a development right or a person having a property. There are multiple types of document can be entered into.
Correct.
First document can be an MOU.
MOU.
In the scenario where I told you that he complies with that, he has a developing right and he will comply with it. And that scenario, they can enter into an MOU. Okay. Now, where there is a person have a plot and he want to develop it, but he cannot due to the lack of knowledge. So we can enter into an agreement with him, specifically an agreement. Then sometime you can also enter into a partnership firm. You can form a partnership firm for a limited purpose. As everyone may be knowing, even my viewer will be knowing, there are 2 types of partnership firm. One for the specific reason and one for partnership at will that will go on. But you can enter for specifically for developing that plot. So, like a developer entering into a partnership firm with someone else, you float a partnership firm, get it registered for specific purpose, and once that specific purpose is done, it is met with, then ultimately, finally, it get terminated. The partnership firm get dissolved by the operation of law. So that's a partnership firm deed of partnership can be signed, MOU can be signed, and agreement, a particular normal general agreement can be signed, get it registered. Now, the one thing is to be kept in mind while documenting that whether the plot is a freehold plot or it's a plot of a society or Mahara. Because if it's a freehold plot, no issue, you can straightforward go away. But if it's a plot of society, Mahara or SRA or like MIDC, then you will require permission of that authority.
Okay.
And even if a developer desire to enter into joint venture with another developer who has a developing right, he also has to check it in the agreement wherein through which he got the developing right, whether that individual has a right to enter into the agreement with me or not.
Okay.
Now, if he has a right, whether that right is blanketly given, of course, in the Mahada plot or SI plot, you won't have a blanket right.
You don't.
There won't be never blanket right. It's a government plot. The society, they may have, they may not have, subject to the society's norms and everything, how it's drafted. There is a blanket norm, no objection, or like they require a permission of the society is there. In that case, even a party can enter into a tri-party agreement. Like there will be one party who is having a right in the developing. Second party will be a confirming party. That will be a society.
Correct.
In third case, it will be a party who will be entering into for developing it. The tri-party agreement can be executed. Sometime for the Mahada and SRA plot, there are no tri-party agreement. Usually what happens, they seek to obtain from the NOC from Mahada and SRA, and subsequently on basis of that, they enter into a joint venture agreement.
Correct.
So there really not exactly a tri-party agreement is required, only two-party agreement. But I would advise, in order to avoid any legal issues from the third party, because of whom you are going to develop, a tri-party entry to tri-party agreement is always advisable.
Okay.
But it can also be avoided by just obtaining a NOC, a clear NOC from them, and entering into an agreement with that. Now, a person before entering into agreement, a joint venture with any developer, has to cross-check also what are the titles of the third party also.
Can you stress on the titles of the third party?
Of course, the title of the third party, as in my earlier episode, I've said you, okay, what is title certificate, title investigation. So, a party should go through all the each and every documents, original documents, whether that party is entitled to give the developing right to that party or not.
Okay.
So that also has to, title investigation also somewhat he has to do it. It's similar to getting into buying and selling of property.
Correct.
Somewhat similar to that.
Correct.
So this whole scenario and condition has to be looked forward. Everyone should go through it, doing all the investigations, entering into proper terms and conditions, agreement, on basis of that, drafting of their clauses and everything, all the understanding, and on basis of 3 steps, as I told you, control, moreover profit sharing, and then exit of the clause. This all consisting of this whole clause, they can enter into a joint venture.
Correct. So all this while you've told our viewers about entering into an agreement, entering into making the venture successful. What if I'm into a venture and I want to break the venture? I want to go out of my partnership. What are the procedures and legalities behind the same?
See, once you enter into a venture, so there will be some responsibility and liability for you also.
Correct.
So it's not so easy for you to exit. Unless and until, as I said, there will be a clause for provision for you to exit at any point of time. Which I doubt no one will agree to that, to exiting, unless until you comply with your obligation under that agreement. No one will be able to exit from that clause, from the joint venture. But in case if you want to exit still, instead of having no specific clause in your favor, still you can do it. But that also will be subject to your partner.
Okay.
If he allows you to exit for XYZ reason, that's well and fine. But if he doesn't allow you, then you may face a legal tangle, or you may have to face a little litigations in that. So if you want to avoid that, the agreement has to be properly studied, and accordingly a specific clause can be incorporated into that, so that anytime if you want to exit, you can exit it.
Well, Mr. Vikhil, if my partner breaks a joint venture, will I have a legal action against him?
Exactly. What prevent you from, or what are the consequences of you breaking a venture will be similar consequence for him also. So nothing prevent you from taking a legal action against him.
Okay.
You can also similarly considering the agreements which have entered between you and your partner, the terms and conditions which has been agreed. On the basis of that, you can also take a legal action against your partner.
Okay.
Now over here, I will suggest to my viewers one thing, that when you enter into a joint venture, usually even courts prefer that there should be an arbitration clause in there. For having entering into a joint venture, of course, definitely is involved lots of money. For the small property, or someone will not enter into a joint venture. If there is a high stake of money, then only a person will enter into a joint venture. For that reason, going into courts and litigating or fighting for a period of time may harm the project itself. For
Okay.
that, a quick and remedy is available. Quick remedy is available. That is going into arbitration.
Okay.
For that agreement should have a proper provision for
Correct.
arbitration.
Correct.
That so that you can approach the arbitrator, you can get your dispute resolved, and accordingly you can get it settled or whatever it may be outcome of that arbitration.
Okay.
So the action which you face
Hmm.
while breaking the venture, similarly he faced also an action
The
for
same
breaking
action.
the ventures. Definitely there is nothing difference in that. The only difference that can be made out is through an agreement only.
Okay.
So that's why I said the agreement plays a very crucial role. Your terms, your roles is precisely defined in that. If in absence of that, there will be a problem in a venture.
Okay. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back. And when we come back, we'll have more on sets with Mr. Vikhil Dhoka of Solace's Lex. The breakup happens between a construction or at the time of a possession. What ensures that the money is safeguarded?
Like joint ventures projects are that they have conducted and they have done in a high stake of money involved. In spite of that, in spite of constructing, there have been some issue.
If two partners are in a venture, probably multiple partners are in a venture, and the breakup happens between a construction or at the time of a possession, what ensures that the money is safeguarded?
Exactly, that's actually really a good question, because many times what happen, an investor, like he invested money, he may not be so aware of the joint ventures company. There have been many projects are there, such as the Mindspace, many things there are like joint ventures projects are that they have conducted and they have done in a high stake of money involved.
Correct.
And they have been good, going good. But in spite of that, in spite of constructing, there have been some issue. I'm not saying there issues have been prior to construction. After construction also there has been issue in the joint venture. Like ventures fail, then what about the investor or whatever who has purchased the property and who is staying over there? In that case, what? In that case, usually there are the law provide an option. First option is you terminate the agreement.
Correct.
That which you have entered into that joint ventures with the two developers or whoever may be. You can terminate your agreement, and then for damages you can approach the court. If you have really invested your hard-earned money, so you can approach the court for that money, and you can bring a stay on the venture or a particular some or other relief you can ask for that.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons. Or if you have already the building venture is already completed, building is already constructed, and in that case the venture breaks at that point of time. And as I said, the venture may have some particular period, till particular period they are liable and they are responsible. So in that case, if he purchases a property and they are not able to, they are not joint ventures, they are developers are not able to comply with that. In that case, a particular person can approach the court of law and he can ask for justice for calling upon the developer or the joint venture business or the partnership firm to comply with the terms and conditions which they had with them. And in spite of because of their dispute, a dispute between that joint venture, one individual should suffer.
Exactly.
So that will be the question asked by the court, and that has to be answered by them. So in that case, a particular person can approach a court of law for terminating an agreement and ask for damages, there's a compensation, and or the third person or a person can go for compliance of that also and ask for specific performance of an agreement which he has entered into with the joint ventures firms.
Okay.
So there are different ways he can recover his money, but at the end, no doubt knocking the court of the door may be a little hectic job for an individual to decide.
Exactly.
That because of the expenses which has been involved or will be involved or the harassment which may be caused to you. For that reason, and when before an investor investing into that property or joint venture, he should cross-check all the records of the developers and everything.
In the current market scenario, is it safe to go into a joint venture?
Considering the present market scenario, the present market scenario is not good. Even many developers are facing a crisis.
Okay.
Going few years down the back, there were like individuals, like when there was a good market scenario, any individuals coming into the role and saying, I'm a developer, he's getting a project, he's getting into an agreement with the society, or whatever it may be, and then going for redevelopment. But later on, due to the change in market scenario, and he started facing financial crunches, so he was not able to complete the project. For that reason, joint ventures really started playing a good role in that.
Okay.
He have a project, he has a right, but he don't have a money. So an individual may have money, but may lack an experience. For reason, the person, these two people will come, entity will come together, and accordingly, a real estate, the joint venture, they can develop the property. So consider the present market scenario, which is not good for the developer, wherein there's lots of money, there's lack of money in the market. So joint venture clearly plays a very good role for that reason.
So you're saying joint venture, when the market is good, plays good. When the market is bad, it plays extremely bad.
Nothing else. I didn't mean to say that. I like when the present market scenario, when one may have something, other may not.
Mm.
So fix that puzzle. Party may do joint venture.
Correct.
So which is the current market scenario. A joint venture is advisable to enter into it, but clarifying each other terms and conditions, rules and everything. Even in a good market scenario, you can enter into a joint venture. Nothing else. But present market scenario, due to the lack of financial crunches, it's preferable to get into joint venture.
Coming to the end of the show, can you summarize the entire joint venture in your words for our viewers?
Joint venture is a individual entity, two or more entity coming together for a specific reason to develop a property, a plot. Now that entity could be anyone. It could be an individuals. It could be an individual group of brokers, or developer with a broker, or with a compliance person, or whoever. It could be individuals, anyone. The only important aspect is that your agreement, your terms between that, which has to be very clarified. There are three types of agreement which you enter. You can enter into MOU, get it registered, or you can enter into triparty agreement, whereby the person who has a right or owner of that plot will be a party to it. That will ensure that even he doesn't raise a concern later, or he should not raise a point that this clause is against my agreement.
Correct.
Actually, it is my agreement with the original developer.
Absolutely.
In that case, and third is a partnership for specific reasons, for a specific purpose, and when the purpose is done, it is like the partnership dissolved by operation of law, and that's a way. And of course, for the investor, of course, they have invest your money very carefully, looking at the present market scenario, feasibility of the report, considering the developer, everything. Invest your money properly, and in case of breach, don't hesitate to approach a court. You will definitely, court will protect you and will prevent you your money to be flooded in the market.
So our dear viewers, you've heard it from the horse's mouth himself. Now, Mr. Vikhil, it is always a pleasure to have you on our sets. You get light to the topic in a brighter way, and you have definitely helped not only the channel partners, but you have helped our developers also who are watching the show now on what they can do and how they can get into legalities before joining their hands with a partner.
In fact, I am also like I'm happy to see your channels taking such a good steps toward imparting a knowledge towards not only to an individuals or a group of societies or laymen, but also to our developers having such an interesting topics, and it has been really it's a pleasure to have over here.
So viewers, you heard it. I'm not going to end the show today. He has already done it for us. So we'll meet you soon on Spin TV with a new episode with an interesting legal issue. Stay tuned on Spin TV. Thank you. Take care. God bless.